Our podcast is about connecting with people to make up our schools, our students, professors, and staff. Over the past 2 months, professors in IC have raised some concern about the well-being of students during the lockdown, especially those who found themselves completely isolated. Today, we're talking to the program director of our Computer and Communication Science doctoral program, who, along with other edX staff, have tried to find the best possible ways to help our students.
Hello, my name is Ola Svensson. So you may guess that I'm from Sweden. I'm an associate professor at EPFL in IC and also the director of the doctoral program. This semester I teach theory of computation, an undergraduate class that I very much enjoy. My research group does research in theoretical computer science with a focus on algorithms.
How did you identify students who are in difficulty?
I would like to highlight, the administration at EDIC. They are, Eileen, Cecilia, and Annalisa. They are great, and they have very good contact also with our students. So often they also receive any kind of, contact with the students when they are not feeling so good. There is also the channel through the mentor, and then of course there's the channel through the advisor. That's usually how we will get to know that there is something that we can help with. And then usually the problem is solved by us discussing the situation, and we are flexible to find a solution. The cases that we have encountered are luckily quite few. I hope we have been able to catch all the cases because, both the advisors and the mentors have most of them have contacted their students, and I think all the advisors have been in touch with the students. The gravity has been the whole scale, I would say. I mean, of course, we have done our best to help our current students. A lot of our efforts has actually been, to accommodate the incoming students where there's a lot of uncertainty. So there, we have different scenarios based on what will happen, when will they be able to arrive to Switzerland, and in particular, we have now organized, Zoom meetings next week with incoming students. So I think there is a lot of uncertainty, which of course creates a lot of stress. So we want to do our best to inform them about the possibilities and do the best for them. I heard many successes from professors that they have like informal meetings at least once a week. In the theory group, we have, together with my colleague Michael, we have informal lunch every Wednesday.
How does that go?
If you want everybody to show up, you better send a reminder. More than one reminder. I also had a meeting with the class representatives, but the class representatives, I teach a large undergraduate course, so the class representatives of that course. And at that point, at least, they didn't have much complaints.
Okay, so you're in contact with class representatives as well as a way to get feedback.
Yes, exactly, yes. I mean, this was also during the time, this was encouraged. I think it was a good idea because the grading scheme of the classes changed. Because we didn't have the same examinations during the semester as before. So more weight was shifted to the final exam. So then it was a good opportunity to discuss both the teaching and the new grading criteria with the students through the class representatives.
To what extent has EDIC been flexible during these special times?
The program, I think the key things is that as the doctoral program is much more flexible in terms of exams, in terms of requirements. So, these are special times. So if there are special situations, we will be flexible. In a direct example is, for example, that the exams have been delayed until August. So if you're a first-year PhD student and you have not passed the DEF course yet, then of course we will then schedule your candidates exam. We will be more flexible and schedule that after the exam session in August.
What has been the most challenging with working remotely?
I think one of the difficult aspects with the working from home is the communication. It's easy to misunderstand each other, and it becomes stressful, especially if an advisor and a student misunderstand each other. So we have tried to, catch those cases, and there, to have meetings to help sort out any kind of misunderstandings. So far, I must say, it seems like my impression is that both the students and the faculty have done a great job in terms of that they have been very flexible. They've stayed sane, and we have not really had many cases of people that experienced big problems with this. We have had some, and there we have then taken the actions that were in place during this time and also before. That means that you have a mentor, you can talk to EDIC, and we can also talk to helplines and so on if it's more serious. I am very impressed by the students, and now also the undergrad students, how flexible they have been in terms of the teaching. And I think one-way communication, like teaching a large class or maybe giving a seminar, has worked surprisingly well online. What I missed out is the interactive discussions, the spontaneous discussions, the joy of doing research together. This I've not been able to capture online.
There's been talk about the positive aspects of the lockdown, lessons learned, being able to apply them perhaps in the future. What has this been for you?
Personally, I think giving a lecture for a big class online has worked fairly well, and the students have been amazing, asking questions in the chat and giving feedback in the chat and so on. I have the feeling that students that perhaps would not have asked questions or answered questions previously do now do that in the chat of Zoom, and there they can also send questions privately to me, which is helpful. I heard that Jean-Yves told me that he uses a similar. He didn't tell me. Someone else told me that he's using a software during normal times where students can actually send him questions to his laptop. So this is something I want to look into after when we are back to teaching in classroom. This would allow students then to ask more privately questions if you're shy. And I also think we have had a reading group on a pretty advanced material during this time, and it has worked fairly well to do that over Zoom. So such communication, I think, is a good lesson to know that this is easy to arrange even if you're not in the same city.
So what would you say, what aspect of teaching has been impacted most by social distancing?
I think it's been much harder to advise, the research projects like semester projects and so on. It's been doable, but if you want to discuss some research ideas on the board and so on, it's much easier to do it in person.
And then maybe on a personal note, what was the most challenging for you in the past months of the lockdown?
I think it was a good side and challenging was to combine the work. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and in the beginning then we had to take care of her because the daycare was also closed. So that was a little bit stressful when
Sure.
we both have to work and take care of your children. Of course, that was a very positive aspect in the sense that we spend more time together. And then also more work related, then I find it much hard to stay motivated. I really enjoy the spontaneous discussions, discussing research with my PhDs, postdocs, and with colleagues, and to do research together, even though, I do mostly theoretical work, and that is something that I find harder to have while sitting at home.
Mm-hmm. So how did you stay focused and efficient while working from home?
I don't know if I've been successful, but I think it's been great that we started a reading group just before we were self-isolating or going home, and this has been great because we have had 2 meetings a week, and it has allowed us to learn a new topic in algorithms and more advanced techniques in that topic. So that has been very motivating. Then I think thanks to the students, right? So the students, they're working, and we have our meetings regularly. So that keeps me motivated.
Can you tell us a bit more about this reading group?
Yes, so this was an area where, I and others would like to learn the techniques. It's about something called counting algorithms. So we have had twice a week meetings, maybe 2-hour meetings, where someone has then presented a fairly technical and state-of-the-art result. And we were lucky to have a professor from MIT doing his sabbatical at EPFL, Yuri Polyansky, and he has then also given many of these lectures. So this has allowed us to learn quite a lot during the lockdown. There's been many exciting results in this area, and if the restrictions allow, we will also have a world-leading expert in this area visiting EPFL next year. So then I thought it would be great to be up to date a little bit before he arrives. I really enjoy my job. I really want to go back to my office.